The beginning begins in old age, a philosophical invitation to late life. The illusion of aging. Many people over 50 often feel as if they are entering a fog. Life is now expected to be dominated by wrinkles, weakness, and farewells. The media and advertising have always conveyed the image that youth means happiness, success, and beauty, while old age is equated with loss and frailty. But this image is only a fragment of reality. Indeed, it is basically a culturally shaped illusion. If you take a closer look, you will realize that it is not so much the years of life themselves that determine strength or frailty, but our attitude towards them. The truth is that our courage to face life does not depend on a number or on outward appearances. For example, we know older people who are actively involved in sport, are committed or still full of plans, and others who already felt exhausted in their 20s. An old neighbor once told me that at 60 she felt like a completely new person since she understood how free she suddenly was. Such experiences show old age can just as easily be a new beginning. We could look at it like a golden autumn. Just as the ripe leaves in the forest glow in warm colors, late life also unfolds its own beauty. Instead of only seeing the supposed descent, we should recognize the newfound depth and breadth of the spirit. This realization transforms fear into quiet confidence, because we no longer have to prove ourselves to anyone. We can simply be ourselves. Freedom and depth in old age. In fact, old age often offers a great deal of freedom. External constraints recede. Career and family are usually arranged. The children may have left home. Suddenly, there is space. Space for everything that used to be neglected in everyday life. Familiar hobbies are revived. Long-delayed dreams take shape. Many people over 50 report that they suddenly find time to read old favorite books, go for a walk in the park, or learn to play a new instrument. This coming to rest gives the soul a second youth. You feel liberated from old fears and obligations. In this new freedom, you often discover talents and desires that you had forgotten about. Imagine a teacher who retires after decades of work and finally attends painting classes at the age of 65, or an engineer who rediscovers her love of theater after retirement and joins an amateur theater company. Such stories are not fairy tales but everyday life. They show that the urge to create and learn does not disappear with age. On the contrary, those who take this freedom often feel lighter than ever before, like after a deep breath in the cool morning air. It is as if life blossoms once again in a second springtime revival if you let it. Many begin to write a diary, lie awake for long periods thinking about questions of meaning, or travel to places that have always fascinated them. All of this is possible because we no longer have to become anything but are simply allowed to be. Spiritual serenity. With age often comes a deeper understanding of life itself. Many spiritual traditions, especially Buddhism, have explored the mystery of impermanence and acceptance. Buddha taught that our existence is subject to change. A well-known saying from his teachings is, birth is suffering, old age is suffering, illness is suffering, death is suffering. This sounds harsh at first, but it simply means that everything that comes into being will also pass away. Another Buddhist image is impermanence is the characteristic of every circumstance, every situation that you will encounter. Everything will change. It will disappear, or it will no longer satisfy you. When we accept this, we learn not to hold on to anything tightly. Fears about tomorrow lose their power because we realize change is the nature of life. This understanding gives us serenity. In practice, this often means pausing more often. Many older people meditate or practice mindfulness. They breathe consciously, enjoy a hot cup of tea, watch a sunset, or simply listen to a stream. The Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh summarized this attitude in simple words. Smile, breathe, and walk slowly. Every breath becomes a small ritual of peace. If you practice this, you can feel how worries become quieter. In the stillness of our heart, a warm calm spreads that cannot be compared to any aging process in the world. Instead of sinking into brooding, we often find answers in contemplation. You could say that in silence you recognize your own strength anew. Philosophical wisdom and maturity. The great thinkers of history also dealt with old age. The ancient Stoics taught us to accept the unalterable. Marcus Aurelius admonished us to accept the course of events as if no one could have done better. Those who follow this advice become more relaxed in the face of old age. Seneca warned us to use time wisely. We often complain about a lack of time, even though we are just being clumsy with it. He reminded us that a full life need not be longer, but more lived. In this way, the Stoics help us to understand that growing old is part of the natural flow of life, and that every day we get is a gift we can be grateful for. The French writer Michel de Montaigne, 1533 to 1592, retired at the age of 50 to reflect on his life. He faced old age with humor and serenity. His famous quote reads, "Age digs more wrinkles into our minds than into our faces." By this he meant that we gain wisdom and compassion through the years. The true wrinkles of old age. For Montaigne, aging was not a decline but a maturing process in which our inner personality becomes much richer. Simone de Beauvoir, 1908 to 1986, later took up this topic. In her book Old Age, she wrote, "Aging means becoming aware of oneself. This resonates with the fact that many masks fall in old age and we realize what is really important to us. While our lives are often determined by others when we are young, by expectations, social pressure, and role models, many things fall away as we get older. This gives life a new authenticity. Beauvoir also put it in a nutshell. Aging is less tragic for women than for men because men are often attached to the reputation and ego they have created for themselves. She said, loosely translated, that most women cannot fall low because they have never been at the top, whereas men often fall terribly when they lose their power. On the German side, the philosopher Karl Jaspers reminded us that the awareness of our own finiteness, especially in old age, leads us into a so-called borderline situation. In such borderline moments, we think fundamentally about meaning and existence. Paradoxically, the knowledge that our life is not infinite can have a liberating effect. It gives us the freedom to reflect on the essentials and to live each moment consciously. This philosophical maturity shows that growing old is not a break, but a mirror in which we can increasingly recognize who we really are. The more mature we become, the more we expose what was only deceiving us, and the more we see the essence of our lives and can use it to our advantage. The power of being alone. As we get older, there are often unusual periods of rest. After the children move out or we retire, we spend more time with ourselves. This loneliness can be disconcerting at first, but it holds great power. Many great minds have recognized this. Henry David Thoreau wrote, "The more you simplify your life, the less difficult the laws of the cosmos will seem to you. Loneliness will not be loneliness. When we are alone, we discover a new space within ourselves." Imagine a woman whose only companion for years was work. After retiring, she sits alone in the garden in the morning and watches the birds. At first, she felt anxious, but over time she learned to call this silent companion friend. In solitude, you'll hear your own thoughts more clearly, and they often whisper long-forgotten dreams to you. Some discover that they can amuse themselves like a child with a book. No one expects anything of them, so they can just be. This safe retreat gives them courage. Those who are alone can develop their full potential. Many older people make small rituals of making the most of their solitude. They deliberately sit quietly, go for a meditative walk, play soft music, or write down thoughts. Without external pressure, creativity often germinates within them. In this silence, you find clarity, which values are important to you, which paths you still want to take. Astonishing ideas sprout from this inner peace, such as the grandmother who wrote poetry when she was alone, or the former engineer who now lives entirely for his hobby, astronomy. Loneliness thus becomes a resonance chamber for the soul. You go out into life with a new whole feeling. Creativity and meaning in old age. Old age does not mean the end of all great deeds. On the contrary, a new phase of creativity often begins now. Numerous examples prove this. Some people discover unexpected talents in old age. The U.S. painter Grandma Moses only started painting at the age of 78 and created colorful art that became world famous. The Portuguese writer José Saramago did not publish his breakthrough work until he was over 60. Creativity knows no expiration date. It doesn't always have to be something big. Meaning can be found in the everyday. Those who worked a lot and lived little in their younger years may now be growing vegetables in the garden, cooking old family recipes for grandchildren, or learning to play an instrument. Meaning often comes from giving and sharing. A retired engineer sets up a model-making group for young people. A former librarian reads stories in retirement homes. Many people volunteer in schools, clubs, or churches and experience how fulfilling it is to be needed. This giving creates a deep sense of meaning in the heart. The more consciously we organize our time, the more we find fulfillment in seemingly small things. Perhaps you give a neighbor a gift of home-baked bread, support a social project in your neighborhood, or share your life experiences at a party. The psychiatrist Viktor Frankl once said, "It doesn't matter what you expect from life, but what life expects of you. Especially in old age, we can meet this expectation now, by passing on love and support with our abilities. Every good deed is a seed for the future. The older we get, the more clearly we feel. Our actions carry weight. The old thought applies to us in particular. The seeds of the past are the fruits of the future. Everything we carefully sow today, a kind word, an open ear, a compassionate look, can sprout tomorrow and give strength to others. If we live like this, every day becomes a small work of art, conscious and full of meaning. Transience, serenity. With every year of life, we become more directly aware of transience. We experience how loved ones pass away, how our bodies change, and how time inexorably slips away. This can be frightening at first. But this realization can also make a new miracle possible. As long as nothing lasts forever, everything gains its value. Every moment becomes precious. Many cultures celebrate life as a cyclical whole. The seasons show us how something new emerges from something fleeting. When the leaves fall in the fall, they already contain the seed for the coming spring. This image can teach us that the last stage of life also leads to something new. Many an older person finds comfort in the fact that parting and loss are part of a larger cycle, and that in every end there is a beginning. The wisdom of the masters also teaches us to be mindful of finiteness. The Dalai Lama said, "Every farewell gives us a special place in our memories." So when we live consciously, deep gratitude unfolds. We pay more attention to the coffee in the morning, the laughter of a child, the sound of a familiar song. In the awareness of death, the here and now becomes precious. Transience thus becomes not an enemy, but the most valuable teacher. It forces us to embrace every moment and be compassionate, in the knowledge that no hour will return. Peace in the heart. All of this leads us to inner peace. In old age, we are allowed to calm down. It's no longer about winning races or achieving goals. You can put your feet under the table and breathe consciously. Peace begins within, it is said. If we really take these words to heart, we will set an anchor in the raging sea of the world. Our external circumstances may change, but we can create a small oasis of serenity within ourselves. Perhaps you feel a smile rising within you at this moment. It is the gentle smile of old age, embracing life as it was, with all its joys and wounds. Every breath confirms it. You have nothing to prove, you are simply allowed to be. Take another deep breath in and out. Feel how your body is carried by the achievements of each day. Every wrinkle in your face, every memory in your heart has made you what you are today. A wise, precious person. Perhaps close your eyes for a moment now. Sometimes just a few seconds of silence are enough to realize that everything essential is there. You need nothing more than to feel this moment. Then old age can be experienced as the golden autumn of your life, which leads to deep gratitude. The journey continues, and you are right in the middle of it. Welcome to the springtime of your life. Because the real beginning can only start now.